Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's continue implementing CoreUI. We will implement in this particular video the footer view, the header, the warning message, and the theme switch views. Basically what we will do here, just a simple view that's gonna have the footer height as well as the accessibility identifier for testing purposes, either a V stack or a H stack, it doesn't matter. Specify the frame for this particular content or this particular V stack to max width infinity and the height, footer height, and the background, color, theme, primary. And inside the VStack, it's gonna be simply a text containing the copyright from local keys, text copyright, localized module. We can access the arguments again from local keys and app name, localized, body medium, theme on primary, accessibility identifier for testing purposes. We don't have to provide this. By default, I'm gonna put here 120. And for the accessibility identifier, I'm gonna do here by default footer, for example. All right, 90 will do. Let's go ahead and define the other view, which is header. From Jetpack Compose, we can infer basically what we have to define here, the logo click. We need to define the view for search input, which is a placeholder, as well as the user menu. Let's call it this time toolbar, if you will. And for the type in text, which is going to be the string representing the text that should be typed. Now let's define those parameters, search input as well as toolbar as type from view. Now let's add the public initializer, an escaping function that has to return search input. The same for our toolbar. And if you do remember, under Jetpack Compose, we have placed everything within a box. We have to put everything in a Z stack. And what we have to put inside, first of all, I'm going to specify here the alignment for this particular Z stack to top, the logo, as well as the search input and the toolbar in horizontal sequence. Top, the first element, which is the logo, full logo from the bundle module. Let's do, for example, 60. Let's add some padding horizontally, and on click, we're going to trigger the function on logo click. And let's add for this logo an accessibility identifier to make it accessible within our end-to-end test. Let's choose, for example, application name. In order to space between the two elements, what we have to do in Swift, we need to add here a spacer. The next element, which is basically the toolbar, and let's assign to this toolbar the maximum Z index. Let's say, for example, 100. I'm gonna put the entire section under horizontal stack, just like a container, and I'm going to basically put here the search input. Let's give it some padding, create an extra space between the text input and the rest of the screen. Put under the text or typing text, body large, foreground color on primary, line spacing 8, multi-line text alignment center. Let's add the padding horizontally, the default one, padding top, and a Z index for the priority of the stack. Let's do -100. Let's customize the Z stack. First of all, the frame, I'm going to put the max height to infinity, occupy the max height by default, and the alignment top. Let's add some padding. We have to put here the background, the SVG file. So how to do so? We're going to put here a view inside the background, which is the image blob background. The bundle here is module, resizable, scale to fill. We're going to come back to this header preview once we have implemented the text input, the reusable view. Now let's move on and define the component warning message that we have defined under Kotlin. Before moving forward, here we have to add public, same here, same for header. Now as dependencies for this warning message, we have to specify the text, the icon name or icon resource name, as well as vertical alignment. Let's add here the public initializer from the vertical alignment of the component warning message, image, the icon name, module, resizable, and let's scale to fit. To specify here the frame or the width and height, let's do, for example, 26. It's going to be on primary. Now for the text that should be displayed, body medium, foreground color, theme, and on primary, multi-line text alignment, leading. All right, for the preview, let's do, for example, text. Let's do, for example, it seems that your wishlist is empty. Information. I would like to add the vertical alignment as an optional parameter, by default center. Now we have to assign some background to this warning message. First of all, I'm gonna add here padding, infinity for the max width, and the alignment, leading. Let's do warning. Now for the clip shape, rounded rectangle, and we have to put here the corner radius from theme, overall padding and shadow theme, and let's do just medium. And basically it looks good. And that's pretty much it for the warning message. The last component that we have to define for this video, which is the theme switch. For the first dependency is dark theme. Instead of state, we need to create a two-way binding. Therefore, we're going to use the binding annotation is dark theme. The other dependency, which is the label in the predefined view toggle from SwiftUI. And we're going to hoist basically the method on toggle that's going to be triggered whenever we are toggling the theme. A public initializer is dark theme of type binding of Boolean. For label, it's going to be optional, and on toggle, an escaping function, and it's going to be optional as well. Is dark theme, let's initialize the binding label on toggle. The difficulty here for the toggle theme switch is basically the style, because it's going to be just a wrapper around the toggle. But for the style, it requires a little bit of customization and research to achieve the desired visual from the same application that we have done in the Jetpack Compose application as well as the view tree application. We have the toggle predefined component or view from SwiftUI. Let's add here the label and is on. Basically, it is a binding. Therefore, I have to use the $sign and is dark theme. You can see here the definition of on toggle under the documentation. It supports a binding, so that's why I have just hoisted the binding. On change, trigger the event on toggle. You have to customize the style, which is a challenge basically of this component, and it's not pretty straightforward. So we have to do here toggle style, and we're going to add here the toggle style. Let's call it, for example, icon toggle style from toggle style. And we have to assign it here, icon toggle style. For the presentation of this body section of the toggle, the configuration label, as well as the icons that should be shown whenever we have toggle has been switched on, and the icon that has to be placed or shown when the toggle has been switched off. I'm gonna put everything within on horizontal stack. You can access basically the label of this particular toggle from configuration and label. So basically we're going to put here the label as the first element. And for the second element, we need to put icons and the track, a Z stack. This is basically a capsule shape. I'm gonna fill from the configuration, and we have to access is on color. Basically the color that should be as a background is on theme and primary. Otherwise, gray, for example, I'm going to customize the opacity 0.4, the frame of this capsule 50, height 30. Now this is basically the track. We have to create the circle button. On the top of this circle button, we have to place the dedicated icon or SVG file. Circle and the color white, just 26, I guess, and height as well. If it's on, let's do an offset of 10, for example, to the right. And if it's off, it has to be pushed to the left. You can access the properties from the configuration. Is on 10 and minus 10 otherwise. On top of this circle, we're going to put the image representing the icon, for example, on dark theme, and the icon representing on light theme. We can access the configuration to vary the icon name according to the whether it's toggled or not. Whenever the configuration is on, we're going to do here moon warning. Otherwise, we're going to do white balance. Let's specify here the bundle module, and let's add some sizing to this particular image, resizable, scale to fit, and the frame is gonna be, let's do, for example, 12. If it's not pleasing, we're going to change this according to our liking, and basically the foreground, if it's on, primary, otherwise warning. I think it's gonna look good. With the same manner, we're going to apply here the offset, the X first of all, and configuration is on, 10, otherwise minus 10, just to match pretty much the same position of the circle. And we have to make this component testable. Local keys, switch theme user menu, because it's gonna be placed under the user menu for the accessibility trait button. And we have to do the animation whenever the value changes from on to off and vice versa. By doing here the animation is out for the value is basically from configuration and is on. Whenever we click on this particular component or the whole section, which is H stack we're going to animate the property by doing with animation is on and toggle. Whenever we are switching back and forth between on and off, we're going to launch the animation for the offset. I'm going to create here a private structure holding a stateful preview for this theme switch private state. Let's call it is dark theme. And for the label, let's add here theme switch, for example, and copy this, paste it here, and let's refresh the preview. And this is basically our theme switch. It looks very good. And now we are not on dark theme. Now we are on dark theme. All right, it looks good. And you can see here the animation. And that's gonna wrap up our today's video. For the next video, we're going to implement the last two components, which are progress button and text input reusable view. I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one and happy coding.